Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all this information, ladies and gentlemen. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight. What do I mean by that? I mean, there's no theory on any of my stuff, you guys. I mean, by the people who are on my show are actually in the industry. There's no wannabe thought leaders who think trucks are cool and want to come in and talk about it and try and put an opinion. Although they have an opinions, there's a big difference between theory and actual experience into a lot of the situations that we talk about and deal with here, you guys, because I want to put the right information out there that you guys can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth. B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you guys live yours as well. We got a special show for you guys today, and the hottest topic out there, well, besides rate transparency right now, is double brokering. Why is it a thing? What is going on with all of this stuff? And I got a guy here, he's got a little bit of a couple of letters behind his name. He's an attorney, and he can talk about this, and we're just going to go through a lot of those things that a lot of us are coming in. If you, as always, you guys, if you guys have questions about this, drop it in the chat. We can answer them live here on the show. But before we do that, you guys, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And how do you combat rates changing? How do you get additional revenue? How do you create a drop trailer pool? You can now do that on VHub, you guys, because you get paid to move these trailers. So they have a bunch of trailers down in Paragould, Arkansas, needing to get up to Mississauga, Ontario. And you can just grab them out of here. You can move them over to Louisville or Columbus, load them up with your customers' freight, and bring them into Toronto. You can do that. And then they have them also over in Stoughton, Wisconsin, going to Milton, Ontario. Same thing. They have a trailer pool over there. You can bring them down to Chicago. Chicago to Toronto is a very hot freight lane, you guys. So look into this. You get 1,000 Canadian to move each trailer out there. They also have Paragould, Arkansas, going down to Irving, Texas. You get $550 US to move that. And then they also have San Diego, California, going out to Laredo, Texas, and you get $700 US to do that, you guys. So hit them up, vhubapp.com. My friends Xavier Campos and Stacy Steen, they'll be in the audience. Just do me a favor. Let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Zach Williams, what is up, brother? Zach's with SPI Logistics, you guys. That's who I have my freight agency from. If you guys want to join the team, you want to jump on with what we're doing, become a freight agent, take control of your financial future, hit up my man, Zach. Tracy St. Clair, what is up? Good to see you. She's watching over on YouTube already. You guys, I stream live over there. It's under the Freight Coach YouTube channel. If you want to watch it over there, just do your boy a solid and subscribe when you're over there. John Radvansky, good morning, Freight Coach. Let's fucking go. Good morning, Sonny Sharma, Orange Shirt Gang. Let's fucking go. Carlos, what is up? Good morning. And Stephen M. Peterson, good morning as well. Let's fucking go. He says, all right, I'm going to bring my guy up here. We're going to talk about what all of you guys are tuning in for today. I got Mr. Frank McCabe in the house. Frank, what is up?
Hey, what's going on, Chris? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Frank and I met a couple years back through our mutual friend, Cassandra Gaines, during all the shit that was going on. We always got together for virtual happy hours on Friday nights. And yeah, man, so we just got up and, I put out a post the other day about double brokering and with what my company Broker Carrier does for this, because we released that list as a heads up to the industry, right? You don't have to be a user of ours to get that information, right? We want to share that out there. Rest assured, any of our users, none of these carriers would even make it into your system. They wouldn't even get set up. You're aware of it prior to it happening, but we want to share that information out there, Frank, because, frankly, at the end of the day, I want to protect people because how do you spot a scammer, right? How do you spot fraud? How do you spot all of that stuff? Because it's not just brokers who are affected by this. I wanted a lot of the carriers who follow me because fortunately, man, I have a very large driver base that follows my content. I want them to be aware of it too, because they're the ones who are getting fucked the most in this stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And trying to figure out how to see when someone is running a scam on you, when someone's doing something that's not really above board or up to our industry standard. That's always the toughest thing, and one of the things that I've really come to love more and more in recent times, especially the last several months, is seeing the emergence of companies, like like Carrier Broker, like Carrier Assure, where people are taking the lead on really simplifying, streamlining that whole process of vetting to help pull those red flags out and make them more visible to the people that really need to use it. Because, it wasn't too long ago, I was, working with a team of people at one company, and we were doing this all manually. And to try and walk your average, let me back that up a sec. I've been lucky, right? I started litigating, and I was immediately in transportation litigating. So navigating the FMCSA reports and all of that information, it was something I learned very young in my career. And so for me to sit back and say, yeah, it's easy, of course it's easy. I've done it for long enough. But showing a person who's never gone into the FMCSA website how to navigate through there, how to find that information, and what does it all mean, that can be a cumbersome task. And, the fact that we're at a point in our industry where we're streamlining that right now, making it more user-friendly, making it more readily apparent what these red flags are. It's just one of the most amazing things. And it's one of the things that I love most about our industry is, despite the fact that we're all extremely competitive, right? We're all looking to be the best at what we do. And at the same time, we're all willing to look out for each other as well. We don't want, you don't want yourself or anyone else that who does a good job in this industry to suffer at the hands of someone running a scam. And it's one of the things I love the most.
Because I've seen it, because I've been on, obviously I've experienced this in my career. We've had that stuff happen, and, we paid the carrier that we thought did the load. And then 90 days later, we're getting a letter from an attorney saying, hey, this carrier did this load. This is what happened. Then we get on the phone with the carrier. We're like, well, we paid you for it. And they're like, no, you didn't. Then, long story short, we find out it got double brokered. They were promised a, $5,000 load, and we ended up paying, we only paid the original carrier $3,600. So we obviously came to the resolution and settled and had to pay the carrier on that. I've seen a lot worse scenarios come out, but in today's landscape, and especially, it's not just today, man. Anytime you're starting a business, not everybody has access to unlimited funds, right? A lot of these drivers are out here trying to piece together their monthly payments in the first couple of loads that they move, and not getting a $3,000 invoice can literally put somebody out of business. And because I think the focal point for a lot of it is, it's a lot of people are always like, oh, well, fuck double brokers. And yeah, I agree with that. But how do we help the person who's actually getting potentially losing their business and their livelihood? How do we protect them? How do we put that information out there and let it bleed up to where it protects the industry as a whole? Because it's not just about us over at Broker Carrier getting 10,000 signups from putting out posts like this, man. It's about helping that one person. Because my business partner Kyle and I, we've bootstrapped multiple businesses, right? We're in this, and we want to help people out with this. But to me, it's how do we put this out there at scale to protect multiple parties here? And I personally feel that the FMCSA has made a major oversight on double brokering. They want, because let's call it what it is, man. They're talking about it right now, where it's being released out there for a Q&A style session. Hey, we need more information. Realistically, anything that could be on the legislative docket isn't going to see it until 2024 at the absolute earliest. And then from there, before it's codified into law, it'll probably be fucking 2025. How many people are going to lose their businesses potentially between now and then, if we don't come out here as an industry and talk about this shit at scale?
You're 100% right. And that's one of the things that really struck me. And, in prepping for our show today, Chris, one of the notes that I made, and I was excited you just hit on it, right? It's the carriers who potentially are going to suffer the most. And to your point, it's that it's not the big players, right? The bigger players, God bless them, they've got the ability to absorb some of this. It's the people who have one truck, two trucks that are, to your point, bootstrapping their business, building it up from the ground, trying to earn a decent living and be, above board and do a great job out there on the road. They're the ones that can't afford that. So I think that we as an industry need to kind of work at, a few different ways to doing this. One, carriers can vet their brokers. We talk a lot about brokers and freight forwarders and stuff vetting the carriers. If you're about to do some business with someone, there's nothing that says you can't throw a Google search in. And if that's one of my favorite things to do is no matter what information, what technology we have, there's nothing that stops a few seconds of throw the company name into Google and see what pops. More often than not, you're going to find those complaints of they didn't pay me, I can't get my money, and that they're putting people out of business. And as a driver, as an owner of a carrier, you then at least have some more information about who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
The other thing, you're right, the FMCSA, they put out the regulations, they put out all of these rules, but when it comes to that enforcement piece, there's not really much being done. And that's troubling. And, I don't know what the right answer is for that. I think as an industry, we need to push on the Department of Transportation and the FMCSA to actually go after these players that are doing double brokering. I think there's enough information out there that we could do it, that you can align it and show them where it's happening, because the estimates that I'm seeing is this is something that's costing our industry upwards of $100 million a year.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And to your point, that's a lot. And it's going to put a lot of our startup companies, our mom and pop, small business, family run businesses, they're going to go out of business if they have to absorb these losses. From a legal landscape, it's kind of tough. You could try, one of the thoughts I had was, if we had enough of these carriers that got together and they could find a person to bring some sort of like a class action against some of the bigger fraudsters that are out there, that could be another way to kind of shut them down. The problem is, you've got to have someone willing to invest that. There's a lot of time and money and effort on the legal side that goes into finding all of those links and finding all of those areas where, because these guys are like these fraudsters, they're kind of like the Hydra in Greek mythology, right? You knock one off and two more pop up, and it's all the same people. Yeah. So I
was going to say, Frank, I don't mean to cut you off here, but I may or may not be privy to some of all of those dots that are connected inside of the information that we're currently working on at Broker Carrier, because I can't say too much about it, but just know that a lot of these dots that you're talking about are very fucking apparent, and we have we're working on it right now. Like we have it out, and it's going to be, I don't want my business partner to fucking reach through the screen and fucking shoot me, but to me, we've connected a lot of those dots. We've connected a lot of those dots because, like, I think, like, most people got to think, like a fraudster, a scammer, they go to the path of least resistance, right? Like they're going to reincarnate based off of them not getting stopped doing what they're doing, right? And no one's really putting forth the effort, and they're not going out there again. Like and I learned a lot of this when I was in DC late last year at a cybersecurity conference, and they opened up my eyes to a lot of this. It's like, you'd think hackers and scammers would go after big fish, and they're like, it's actually the opposite. They go after 1,000 little fishes for quick grabs because they don't want somebody with the legal resources to go after it. They want to attack the smaller entities out there because most of them are just going to be forced to pay it and move on, or deal with it and move on. Or, hey, if I fuck this small carrier over out of a $5,000 invoice, what are they going to do? Sue me? They're not going to come after me. And then in all reality, a lot of these operations, let's call it what it is, man, they're going to be in business for 90 days max probably, and then they're going to shut out and reincarnate and be another thing, because that's like, again, and I always bring this case back up. The Colorado driver last summer, that brake failure and everything, missed runoffs, hit and killed multiple people out there. That trucking company reincarnated within 24 hours of that accident happening. And guess what? You can't sue a business that's out of business, right? Like, you can't really go after somebody that does something that doesn't exist. I'm sure the right lawyers could dig it up eventually, but let's call it what it is, man. And why is that? Why is the FMCSA allowing that to happen?
I think it's that for For better or for worse, the regulations governing, getting your operating authority, we have a low bar of entry in our industry. And I don't mean that as insulting as it maybe sounds, but really when you look at it, what do you have to do? You fill out some forms, takes you maybe 10, 15 minutes. You submit it to the FMCSA, you pay the filing fee. Arguably, you're going to have insurance, or if you're one of these people running a scam, you're going to find a way to scam and an insurance certificate to show, or at least to appear to show that you have coverage. And you wait whatever the amount of time is, and the FMCSA kicks you, here's your DOT number, here's your MC number. Have fun, go out and do business.
Yeah.
There's got to be more done on I feel like if you're going to be issuing these call it authorizations to carry property, to carry people, to move freight on trucks in our country, maybe we should have a little bit more of a process to confirm that you're not operating out of a fake address, that the information you've put up there on your insurance certificate is accurate. Some of that could help weed it out. I think the other thing that's going to really could help weed it out, Chris, is and it's something that I saw doing some research here and looking at the companies like, Carrier Broker. Something on that website caught my attention, which was they have their own load board, right? And it's going through with, hey, we've already vetted the people here. I think if we can get companies, like Carrier Broker, like Carrier Shore, companies that are doing this to partner with load boards or create their own, where a carrier can go in and know that they're dealing with an up and up broker, and a broker can go on board and know that they're dealing with a carrier that isn't showing these red flags.
Yeah.
The quickest and easiest way for a lot of this is to find the way to choke out that criminal element that we have. And that's really what we've got.
And that's why it's like, from my perspective, it's like, I think like this, because like as a broker myself, I've been a broker for 12 plus years at this point, Frank. And one of my biggest things in helping develop out our platform at Broker Carrier is that reutilization of in-network capacity, right? And then especially it's vetting your carrier partners that you are doing business with. And then furthermore, for all my friends that are carriers out there that are watching this, vet your brokers as well. If they mention anything about factoring, ask for a letter of their notice of assignment. Ask for their information as well. Get all of that and vet these individuals. You guys do your due diligence there to ensure that the first time you're taking a load, that it is an actual entity that's out there. Because again, I think of it like this: it's like if you're a carrier and you call a broker and they can't provide basic information, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't, like, they can blacklist you all you want. They're never going to have real freight, or they're not going to be around long enough to make a meaningful difference to affect your business or anything like that. Because it's very simple. I own 2 companies, right, Frank? I have all the paperwork readily available for anybody. If anybody needs my federal tax ID, guess what? Got you covered. If you need to talk to my CPA, boom, got you covered. If you need to talk to my attorney, boom, got you covered. I have all of that stuff in line for that reason. And this is the thing, is it's like, I'm seeing the comments coming through, you guys. I'm sorry, I can't really keep up with all of them right now. But the fact of the matter is real businesses don't hide information, right? Real businesses don't. And I want you to be aware of that. If you're a driver, ask for this information. Again, in any broker that you would get set up through our platform. And I'm trying not to have this turn into a broker carrier sales pitch here, you guys. I'm really not. But we send you a signed carrier packet back to you as a trucking company. So you have that signed agreement with that actual broker. And for all my brokers, you have that signed agreement as well. You have access to their W-9, their authority, their insurance. You have access to all of that in one small place. And again, it's keeping that information ready, because carriers need to see what they're signing, right? They need to have that packet sent back to them. Again, it's just another form of validation, right? Because it's like, that would be a red flag to me if I got set up with a broker, Frank, and they wouldn't even send me a signed contract back, but they required me to sign it and send it to them, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I've seen that a bunch of times in my career. And you hit that point, and you just kind of have to say, well, if you're not going to send me that information back, so I have a copy for my own records, I'm not doing it. As a lawyer, I can sit here and tell you that most, generally, in contract law, if you've got one party that signed it and people start to take steps towards it, you can have an enforceable contract. But that's a legal argument. That's a legal maneuver that you take in court. And at that point in time, if you're a carrier, you're spending a ton of money on a lawyer to go into court and make an argument for you to get that, say, $5,000 on a load, where if you simply have the contract, it makes your life a lot easier. One of the things that I learned also in doing vetting previously is never underestimate the power of our phone. I used to see some stuff, I did a lot of work in the final mile delivery realm, 26-foot box realm, and things that would always pop up and strike us as red flags were kind of those too good to be true. You have an area, a remote area. It's always tough to get coverage on a home delivery side. And suddenly you've got a person out in the middle of nowhere saying that they go out to these crazy areas every day, we'll take it all. And at that point, what we started doing was, one, we'd call them. We'd ask questions. We'd be looking at those records and seeing, hey, you've only opened up your business within the last month. What's going on here? How do you have so many trucks available? The other thing was, if what we were getting back, a Google search on an address, the number of people that tried to have me tender freight to them at their home, at a storage locker. I actually had one guy out in, I want to say it was like Montana. The address was a Thai restaurant. and picked up the phone and I said, hey, you don't have loading docks at your restaurant.
Yeah.
And he said, no, it's no big deal. We'll just bring it in the basement. And I said, how are you going to get a 53-foot trailer to line up and by the way, if you think I'm going to put my customers' freight in the basement of your restaurant, I really want to know what drugs you're on, because they must be phenomenal.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing is I think that's like the short-term pushback, right? That we need to start with, because from a legislative thing or anything like that, I think it's going to be a long time before we actually see some meaningful change on that at the earliest. So to me, it is about vetting the people that you're working with. It truly is. And it's kind of, again, because I think, like, keep in mind, you guys, they want that quick deal, right? They don't want a lot of pushback. And I say this a lot. It's really tough to negotiate with somebody who knows what they're talking about, right? Like, in all honesty, it really is. And that's why as you're out there and you are setting up a new partner for the first time, whether you're a broker or a carrier, vet them. If you're a carrier and you receive a bill of lading and that broker's name isn't listed on it, or your company's name's not listed on it, there's no pickup name, there's just a PO, whatever. If it's lacking something, don't do it. Because rest assured, you guys, I have never received load information from a customer of mine in my career that did not have a PO number, that did not have an actual commodity description written out, that didn't have dimensions, that didn't have a weight, that didn't have a pickup name, a pickup address, and a contact phone number at them. Okay. So again, if you get something, and especially right now, you guys, if a lane's been paying $1,000, and again, this is just for conversation, if a lane's been paying $1,000 and somebody's offering you $2,500 or something outlandish, run. And I know that might sting, especially right now when rates are what they are. But if it's too good to be true, it is. Like that. I think that's one of the greatest sayings, the most simplistic sayings out there right now, is if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And you got to protect yourself, because all of these red flags, you guys, are very apparent. They're very apparent out there. If you want to talk about, the trucking companies that you're working with, for example, if they're only being inspected in California and Georgia and they run cross-country freight, that's a red flag, or if it's like they need to tell a story. And I know not all trucking companies out there have inspection reports for whatever, because they have, they have great trucks. Their trucks are fully, like when they do get stopped, there is nothing out there. They have a clean record. Again, you have verifiable transactions that you can reach out to in those moments. If you have a factoring company, let me call your factoring company. Let me call them and verify this information. And again, if you want to call and verify me as well, go for it. Do it. Verify me. You got a business to run too. And I completely understand that. we have to move away from that transactional mindset with a lot of this stuff. It's not about how do I just do it today. You have to protect your organization in the long term here, because this is not a short-term fix. This is going to be around for a while. If anything, they're going to get more advanced the less that they're checked, right? Push back on this shit.
Absolutely, Chris. You're 1,000% right, and I love the concept. Right, we've got our rates in the freight market have gone down over the last year, which on the one hand, to a certain extent, is a great thing. But to your point, you've got people out there that need to earn, and they want to earn. They want to take care of their business. They want to take care of their families. They need to put food on the table. That $2,500 run on a lane that should be $1,000 is super attractive. But to your point, take that extra couple of minutes and ask the question, does this really make sense? And if you're on the fence, I'll be honest, one of the things I'd say to do, make as outlandish a demand as you can on that broker. I want $1,000 an hour detention time. If they're going to say yes to that, just walk.
Yeah.
Just get out of Dodge, say, thanks, I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, the other piece is you're going to end up where suddenly the freight doesn't move, and people are going to go, well, every time I go to this guy, it doesn't run. And even if they can't figure out that they're double brokering, they're not performing what they need to perform, which is move the freight. And we're just going to move away from them. We've got to, like you said, work together as an industry, because this is an industry problem. It's an industry issue. It's going to take a long time to get it done through courts or through legislatures. But if we can all work together the way that I've seen it coming about, especially on this double brokering issue,
yeah,
I think that we are, as an industry, going to find a way to do it. And we're going to do it in a way that's above board. And that's the most important thing.
Nancy, I think this is a good piece of advice out here. She just put, have the pickup place put the name of the truck and plate number on the BOL and do it in black marker. And that's also one thing to look at as well from the driver. Okay, because if my customer books a load with me directly, that my name's going to be listed on that BOL potentially, or it's like the third party bill to or something like that. So look at that. If the person who sent you that load, if their company's not listed on that BOL, now this isn't in every case, but in most cases, my name's going to be, if the shipper provides the BOL, they're going to list the broker's name on there or the carrier's name on there that they tendered that load to. Okay, so look at that. Study the study the BOL and see, look for some irregularities on there and just look at that information. And yeah, Joseph M, I'm seeing your comments coming through here a lot, bro. Send me a DM. All right, send me a DM. I saw that you're former FMCSA. I'm not seeing all the comments coming through here, you guys. I'm getting like bombarded at like 25 at a time. They're all, so I wasn't able to really answer a lot of the things here. And I see Jason Rabine. He said, not having an inspection does not always mean the carrier's trash. Absolutely. He's very right in that. And you can very much find that paper trail of information to show the validity behind that. But yeah, dude, we're already almost at our 30-minute mark. I knew this was going to fly by because this, dude, it always does, but I like to keep my shows kind of concise and to the point because, you know, most of my viewers have jobs. So there are a lot of us out here are just trying to fit this in our workday and everything. So Frank, what's, as we're kind of closing up here today, man, what's one piece of advice you would give out there to, you know, just to step one for somebody today to implement?
I'll say this, man, and this is going to be more on the carrier side, right? So
Yeah.
if you're a carrier, if you're a truck driver and you get one of the, you know, you pick up a load and you get your BOL, you get your paperwork, before you even drive, call the receiver. Make a phone call to where you're going and confirm the details on that piece of paper. That couple of minute phone call could end up giving you a ton of information that you wouldn't have otherwise. And if you realize that the paperwork you have looks like you have a double brokered load, you can then figure out from that call to the receiving dock who actually has the load and make a call to the shipper or the legitimate broker and get everything taken care of where you're not going to be victimized.
Yeah. No, I like it, man. Frank, how can anybody reach out to you if they have any questions or anything like that? How do they get in contact with Frank McCabe?
Oh man, probably easiest way is going to be either LinkedIn. Probably is going to be the best, most direct way. You can certainly find me there. You otherwise, if you guys want to email me, can I give up my email address?
Yeah, dude, it's free country, man. You can do it if you want.
Hey, I'm trying to make sure I don't step on toes here.
No, you're not stepping on
My
anything.
email address is,
Dude, Frank, I work for myself for a fucking reason, bro.
oh man, I love you, Chris. Thank you so much. My email address is fjmccabe53@gmail.com.
Perfect, you guys. And if you guys hit this up on the replay, or if you have any questions, you're trying to get out in contact with Frank, DM me as well. You guys know how to find me. But that's it for today, you guys. As always, if you guys see value in what you hear, subscribe and share the show. You guys rank this show out there on iTunes and Spotify. If you think this is 5-star information, rank that shit, because that's how we help more people. That's how we reach more people. That's how we are the top podcast in transportation, is because of each and every one of you who tune in and day out and share this information. You guys, we're literally just here to move this industry forward. All right. At the end of the day, if this message helps one person, that's what it's all about for me. All right. I don't do this for likes. I don't do this for fucking anything other than keeping people in business, because I'm a small business owner myself. I come from a family of truck drivers. I want to protect people here. All right. I want to keep people in business no matter what the freight market is, because there is ample opportunity for people out there to succeed no matter what. So I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon. And now we're just going to